My name is Helen Frost. I am one of the careers consultants who works for the Faculty of Science and Engineering, and I'm joined by my colleague Hannah Thomas, who is going to support us with the chat today. So she's going to be answering any questions that you've got in the chat, and she's also going to be presenting a little bit later on as well. So we are recording this session, so we will be able to share it after today, along with the slides, which have got a few hyperlinks on there as well, which will take you through to the relevant bits that we're talking about at the time. We've got you all on mute. If there's time at the end, we can possibly unmute everyone and see if anyone's got any live questions. But otherwise, if you just pop any questions that you've got in the chat, and we'll try and keep on top of those. We'll aim for this session being 45 minutes long. Might be a little bit longer than that, depending on how much we talk. But without further ado, let's get cracking, I think. We've included this slide just because it's really important to us, and we want you to know that it's important to us. I mean, we as a career service and as a university and as the City of Manchester, really, we're very diverse. It makes us feel quite proud to be a part of that. So we just included this to acknowledge that we recognise that all of you have come maybe from different life experiences, different backgrounds, have different identities, and you all face your own individual bumps in the road and successes. So we're here for you no matter what, with no judgment. So any interactions that you have with us, we are an independent person, and we will advise you as we think best. So if anyone is sitting here and has a concern about maybe recruitment processes, maybe you have a disability or something like that, and you want to talk to someone, you can book a special appointment with us to discuss that further. But just wanted to make that point. So let's just move on to the next slide. So I wanted really to just get across what we understand of you. Having talked to many first years over the years, we know that you all have very different things on your mind, and you might all be in very different places in terms of the stage that you're at thinking about your career. We've tried to categorise it a little bit into three main stages, I suppose, and hopefully you will identify with one of these stages. None of them are wrong, none of them are right. But I suppose it's important for you to recognise where you are now, so that you then know what action you can take to just move you forward a little bit. So we'll talk about that a bit later. This first stage here is where you might be thinking the time's not quite right yet for you to be thinking about your career. You're only just at university for half a year so far. Graduation feels so far away, and I suppose what we'd just say to you is, yes, it feels like it might be 3 or 4 years off yet, but actually the earlier you start with everything to do with careers and employability, the better you will find it in the long run. So we find, for example, students that have experiences in their first year, they throw themselves into getting involved in societies and that sort of thing, actually find it so much easier to find placements and then graduate jobs later on as well. So also your outside interests are important. I mentioned societies there, but making friends is really the start of what we call networking. So the word networking might feel far away from what you're doing, but actually you never know who you might be meeting now, who could help you in the future. So make a bit of time, maybe once a week, just to do some research, maybe reflect, maybe ask people questions, link in with people, which we'll talk about later, and just start to think about possibilities so that it doesn't come as a real shock to you later. In terms of the second stage that we've categorised, it's where you might be feeling a bit daunted. So you know you've got to do something, but you're not quite sure where to start with it all. So some of the statements we've got there, I have no idea what I want to do with my life. We hear this so often, it's really common. And it's okay to be like that. And please don't think that careers are only here for you if you've got a fully formed idea about what you want to do in the future. I would say probably 50% of the people we talk to come to us and say, I've just got no idea where to start. You know, I'm doing this course, but I don't know what I want to do next. What should I do? How can I find places to read about it? Who can I talk to about it? So that's absolutely fine. But maybe also you're struggling. It may have taken you, some of you, a bit more time to adapt to university life, and it's a bit scary sometimes to think about life choices. You might have had other things that you needed to sort out before you could think about work and jobs. So you don't have to rush. We don't want to rush you, but you do need to start being inquisitive. So please ask for help if you need it. We're obviously here for you in careers, but there's also other support services around the university if you need help with other parts of your university life as well. And then the third stage, which some of you might be able to empathise with, is this purple section. So it's where we'd like you to get to if you're not there already. It's that inquisitive stage, so moving towards taking action. So we can help you think things through. If you've got a couple of ideas, we can tell you where to find out more information, point you in the right direction, but also guidance on anything to do with employability. So we've got resources that you can read, you can watch, we've got sessions that you can come along to, you can interact, or you can just listen, and we'll tell you a bit more about that later. But definitely think about your CV now. So start building it now, even if you've not got much on it, because that'll help you identify where your gaps are. So, for example, if you've got a blank experience section on your CV, maybe now is the time to start thinking about maybe some work over summer or a part-time job or getting involved in some volunteering, that sort of thing. And finally, just think about experience. Think quite broad at this stage. So some is better than none. I've mentioned a couple of those types of experience already, but it doesn't at this stage need to be linked to your career aspirations. You know, even just working in a supermarket, for example, on a Saturday will give you real life experience of working. You'll be working with a team, you'll be making decisions, you'll be solving problems. So it all starts to build those transferable skills, which employers really look for when you apply to their schemes, their programs, their placement. Okay, so that's a bit about where you might be. These three themes here map broadly onto our three areas of career readiness. So explore, prepare, and then apply. And so we try and gauge where everyone feels they are on our Career Connect platform, which we'll introduce you to in a minute. Some of you might have found it already, others may not. So I've put a link up on the screen here. So we thought it might be quite useful just to take a couple of minutes now when you've not got anything else on, where you can actually join Career Connect if you haven't already. So on your device, I don't know if you've got a phone handy, or if you want to open a new browser, whatever you want to do, just head to that URL that's on the screen there. So www.careerconnect.manchester.ac.uk. And I'm just going to give everyone a minute or so just to do that. And then I'll talk you through what you need to do next. And I'll give you a bit of a demo of what you can find where. Okay. So on this slide, the URL is still at the top there, careerconnect.manchester.ac.uk, for those of you still trying to find a device to access this on. But this is just a screenshot. So we'll do a very quick tour here. You can see there's those sort of round icons along the top. That's one main way to navigate Career Connect. But actually, what we want you to do first is, if you've just accessed Career Connect for the first time, you'll probably come up with a few questions that you need to answer, just to try and find out what experience you've had, where your thinking is up to currently. So if you could just answer those, because by doing that, we can then find out as a whole group, for example, of engineering students, what stage is everyone at, and therefore we can tailor our resources, our sessions that we run to what you need. And there's also a way on there for you to set up alerts, whether that is job vacancies or events that you're interested in. So just take a minute just to set all of that up now, and then I will show you a little bit of what to find where in CareerConnect. And feel free to do it along while I'm talking as well, if that would be useful. Okay, so CareerConnect is your one-stop shop, really. We've got our website, which I'll show you on a slide or two in a minute, but this is where you go to do stuff, to find information, to find where to go. So it's finding events that are running both by the university, by the Career Service, and also by employers as well. There are also job opportunities, vacancies on there as well. So you can see at the top you've got search, book, and then career discovery. So if you want to search for vacancies, you go into search, find vacancies, and then it's just like a job site. If you want to book an appointment to see one of us, me or my colleagues, you go to book and then appointment, and it will show you all the appointments that are available to you there. Or you can go to that career discovery section on the right-hand side, which gives you a few tips about job hunting, access to thousands of opportunities that are maybe outside of our university, also access to volunteering, internships, that sort of thing. So we've introduced you to it now. Hopefully you're all logged on and you've done that initial answering the questions. If you've already been on CareerConnect before and this looks familiar with you, what you might want to do is just go up to at the top right of the first screen, it says me and then a profile picture. You can go in there and just edit your profile to answer the questions, maybe update it if it's moved on from where you've been before, or change any alerts that you've got, that sort of thing. So I'm going to hand over to Hannah now, who's just going to talk to you a bit about how to access careers services.
Yeah, thank you. So, yeah, CareerConnect is probably our one main area where we'll direct you to for all those wonderful things like vacancies, but we've also got other platforms that you can access as well to access careers resources. So you may have been on our career service website before, you may not have done, but there's a snapshot of what it looks like just here on the left. So that's where we have all of our sort of written resources. So we have CV templates, we've got job profiles, information about different sectors and things like that, and you can click through all the different tabs at the top as well. And there's also a help and advice tab as well if you're unsure and not sure where to turn in terms of your careers and employability. But the page that's on screen at the moment is our events page. So any major campaigns that we're doing, or any series of events that we've got on, they're usually going to be on this page. So as you can see, we've got Meet the Grads on there, which I'll talk a little bit about later, and other types of events, online workshops. Everything can be found on there too. We've also got the YouTube page, so if you can see an event that's coming up either on our career service website, on CareerConnect, and you can't attend or you realise you've missed an event, chances are that if it's an online event, we've probably recorded it. So you can head to our YouTube channel, so it's at Manchester Careers. If you just Google YouTube Manchester Careers channel, will probably pop up. There's lots of events that we've recorded that are uploaded onto there, and they're all arranged by theme as well, or by topic. So we've got lots of different playlists that you can access. So for example, we have a playlist called Advice for Science and Engineering Students, which is very applicable to you guys. But we've also got other sort of themes as well. So we've got an interview and assessment playlist, we've got CV playlists, lots of different types of playlists as well. We've got playlists for events where employees come and speak to us, meet the grads, so you can go on there to find out more about those and watch those back if you've missed any of those. Thank you. So here's just a flavour of what else we've got available as well. And something that we would really encourage you to do while you're still in your first year and you've still got some free time, I guess, is to put some time aside every week to think about your employability and maybe head to an event. it enables you to sort of plan for your future. You give yourself that time to reflect and sort of get a sense of what you like and what you might not like as much, to help you focus sort of your thinking around what your next steps might be. So it won't be long before you have to make some decisions, for example, whether you want to apply for an internship or a placement. So getting a sense now of what you want to do is probably a really good idea. So on screen, you can see we've got some of the events that we've got going on this semester. One big one I want to shout about is the Spring Careers Fair, which is happening today. So if you're on campus, please do head down. We've got, I think, over 40 recruiters, maybe even more, who are here to talk to students about their opportunities that they've got on offer. A lot of them will probably have opportunities for sort of grads and internships and placements, but it's a good opportunity to find out from companies that you might not have heard before about what it is that they do, what it is that they offer, and some of them might have opportunities for first years potentially. So yeah, if you're around on campus, please do head down to that. We've also got other types of events for you to sort of network with employees. So we've got Meet the Graduates, which is on screen. Those are events where we get Manchester alumni to come in and talk to you about, in sort of a panel format, for you to ask questions about maybe what their work culture is like, what their day-to-day is like, what was their journey from being a student to getting them into the role that they're in now. We have Meet the Grads sessions on lots of different topics. So in the past we've done Meet the Grads working in technology, working in data. So we've recorded some of them so you can find them on our YouTube, and we've still got some coming up this semester, so do check Career Connect out for that. We've got Recruiting Residence, which is an opportunity for you to just walk up and speak to an employee that we've got on campus that week, and you can find them on the ground floor of the atrium. Again, you can go to our career service website to find out the schedule of who's coming up in the next few weeks. Your Future Essentials is probably a good one to go along to. We have sessions that are going on Monday to Thursday every week throughout the semester on sort of foundation topics like building your CV and things like that. But we've also got things that are specifically for you guys as science engineering students. So at the bottom you can see we've got on-campus drop-in sessions. These are open to all science and engineering students in all year groups. So if you want to come and have a one-to-one chat with someone from our team, whether it's, you know, I don't know where to start, or I'm not sure what it is I want to do in the future, I'm between ideas, please do come along and chat to us. We're on campus every week, so you can find out when those times are on Career Connect by searching science. There's a couple of topics that are up in the middle of the screen there as well, and those are topics that we've done events on in the past. So we've had a Getting Experience week, we've had a postgraduate study week, and we've done events throughout those weeks. So we've probably got some sessions recorded there that you can watch back on YouTube. So yeah, we've got lots going on. Please take advantage of them, and yeah, things happening all the time. Great, so how can you access us in different ways? So we've talked a lot about how you can access employers. I've spoken a little bit about drop-ins, but how else can you come and approach us? So on screen is our link tree, which is essentially a bit of a one-stop shop for all of the most important links. If you're not sure how to get to Career Connect, if you're not sure how to get to our website, or if you've got anything major going on that you want to find out more about, it's probably linked on our link tree. So I'll just pop that in the chat. It's also got links to our social media profiles as well for the career service. So we do have a Facebook, we have a Twitter. In the last year or so, we've launched an Instagram, which we're using all the time. So if you're not following us on there, please do. We're always doing takeovers when we're at events, and it'll enable you to find out about all new and upcoming events that we've got coming up over the semester and onwards. And there's also a link to our YouTube page on there. So if you can't find it on Google, come to our link tree and you can find it there. But the star of the show is LinkedIn. So we really love LinkedIn in our team, and as you can see on screen, this is your science and engineering careers team that you can see. We are all happy to be connected with. We really like to push it to students. So what I would like to do is find out who in the room has already got a LinkedIn account. So please could you raise your hand? I think it's at the bottom of your screen. Could you raise your hand if you've got a LinkedIn profile for me, please? Great, so we've got a couple. Nice, it's really good to see that number going up of people who've got profiles. Any more for any more? So we've got a couple more coming in there. So please keep your hand up if you are someone who uses your LinkedIn profile regularly. Okay, so the hands went down, which is not surprising. I think the default response for students is, I've got a LinkedIn profile, but I'm not really sure how to use it. And we suggest if you do nothing else this summer, getting a profile off the ground and starting to build a network is a really good use of your time. You can connect with other people in the room. You can connect with us. We're really happy to connect with students. If we can see you're a University of Manchester student, we'll happily accept a connection request. You can connect with family and friends and even professional contacts as well. So for example, if you happen to go to the Spring Careers Fair today and spoke to a recruiter or an employee that was there, it may be that you ask them to connect with you on LinkedIn, and then you can see any updates from them in the future. If you link in with us, you'll also get access to our networks as well. We've got thousands of connections across our team who are a mix of, previous students, industry contacts, potentially in areas that you want to go and work in. So you can start checking out how people have got to the jobs that they've got to now, and find out sort of what's happening in your sort of preferred sector. Our team post on LinkedIn all the time, so if you want to find out what events are happening that are specific to you, if there are any opportunities that you can get involved with, we use LinkedIn to post those all the time, so do reach out to us. If you need some support in getting your sort of LinkedIn up to scratch, we do have resources for that as well. So on our career service website, we've got written resources. So if you're someone who learns by reading, we've got lots of information on there about what LinkedIn is, how you can use it, how to get the most out of it. But we've also got lots of videos as well from events that we've done. So if you'd rather listen and sort of see demos, you can have a look on our YouTube page for that too. So I'll pass back to Helen now.
Brilliant. Thanks so much, Hannah. And I should have said at the beginning that Hannah is one of the careers advisors team. We also have Iqbal, who is a intern as well, who's with us for a year. So he's very recently graduated. So we've actually got quite a good team at the moment. And you'll find most of us at our drop-ins that Hannah mentioned when we are either in MECD, we're often on the ground floor behind the steps, or we're also over in Alan Turing, and we tend to alternate week on week where we're going to be. So come and just say hi. It would be great to see you all. But what I'm going to move on to now is CVs. So I'm not sure how many of you have got a CV or have used it to apply for anything. Some of you might have had part-time jobs in the past, so it might be quite basic. But what we're now going to encourage you to do is start to build that graduate CV. So it's the one that goes into a bit more detail about the course that you're studying, details all of the experiences that you've had, all of those skills, all of your technical and maybe your programming skills, any languages that you've got, all of the good stuff that employers want to hear about from you. So this is just a bit, for those of you who don't know what a CV is, really, just to tell you what it is, why do you need one. So we've done some research in the past with Glassdoor and Reed, who you may have heard of, and they've found that you have literally 7 seconds to get an employer's attention with your CV. Other recruiters say less than this. So actually it's really important to get that, certainly the front page of your CV, looking really smart. In the UK, the norm is to have a 2-page CV, so 2 A4 pages, and go for full pages rather than 1.5, because then people think, well, have they not got enough to fill a second page? But if you've really not got much experience at all, then 1 page is fine. There are certain industries and also certain countries that you apply to that they might see a 1-page CV as the norm. So, for example, applying in China, in Germany, applying for investment banks or academic roles. It might be that they require a 1-page CV rather than 2 pages, but the norm is 2 pages. So consider the overall style of your CV, the format, the length, the headers that you use, and I've got an example just to talk through with you in a minute. But they should all be consistent. There's nothing worse than looking at a CV where all the fonts are different, it's tabbed at different points throughout the CV, so just make it really consistent so it's easy to read, it's easy to find what you're looking for on there, because first impressions really count. Save it as a PDF as well, so never send it on an email as a Word document or in any other format, because that could be corrupted over cyberspace. So always send it to them as a PDF, and then it will look how you want it to look. Think about your formatting, think about spelling mistakes. Always get someone else to have a look at your CV before you send it, to check that you've not made any really glaring errors on there. And keep your most recent experiences and most relevant experiences towards the top, certainly on the front page of your CV too. So this is just one example of a CV. You can see it's really clearly laid out. It's got all the key sections, so you can see there it's got education, relevant work experience, other work experience often people put, positions of responsibility, additional skills, which is a bit of a summary at the end, and then interests and activities. So that is a pretty standard CV that most recruiters will be very happy with, because it tells them enough about you. So as you can see, it's over the 2 pages as well. So we'll look at that in a little bit more detail now in each of those sections. So this first section is contact information. So you don't want your contact information to take up any more than a couple of lines at the top. You want your name nice, big and bold at the top so it's memorable. You need to be treating your degree almost like a job. So rather than just doing a list of the modules that you studied or you're going to study, which to be fair, a lot of recruiters won't know what those modules are, you need to explain to them what you did in that module that is relevant to that company or to that job that you are applying to. And you need to use some really impactful language as well. So rather than saying, I did this, I did that, or rather than just putting 1 or 2 words for each bullet point, you need to really spell it out to them. So what we've got here, gained a strong understanding of the major field of maths, including blah, blah, blah. Used my problem solving and MATLAB to do something. So that's sort of the way that you need to phrase some of these bullet points on your CV. And I would say probably 3 or 4 bullet points would be ample to have your education section, but do just keep it really relevant and timely. So it could be that you did something in your education at high school or at college. It's fine to include that, but actually if you've done something that's more relevant now while you've been at university, then include that instead. So the further through your career you get, the less you'll have from a long time ago, unless it's super relevant. So you can see here that the high school with the GCSEs and the A-levels is really just a very quick summary. But do include in that education section if you've worked in any teams, if you've done any lab work, if you've used any programming languages, that sort of thing, or equipment. Employers love to know about that. So then we move on to the relevant work experience bit. And I've split this into relevant work experience and other, which is on the next slide. Because really it could be that you've had a part-time job at Tesco, which is really great experience, but it might not be overly relevant to a job in engineering, for example. Whereas if you've done an internship or something more specific, even in an office, it's more relevant, and so you could put that in a section on its own. Don't worry though if you've only got 1 piece of experience. Just have a section that's called work experience and that's fine. But as you'll find that as you move through the years, you'll be able to split that out a little bit more. So you can see same format there. We've got it bulleted. We've got some really strong, impactful words in there. We've got the extra detail about the packages that you've used, the programming languages, that sort of thing, and the equipment. In the experience section, it can be paid work, but it could also be volunteering, or it could be project-based work as well. So it doesn't need to be paid to be in this section here. The next bit is this other work experience that I mentioned. So it could be that you've worked in a restaurant or a bar. And don't think that they're not relevant, because actually they are, because they can show all of these transferable skills that you are using. So lots of employers, for example, love to know that you've worked with customers. because in a work context, you could be working with customers, but you could also be working with clients or teams. And so the skills that you use, maybe serving a customer in Tesco, could be the same skills that you're using dealing with a client in a work environment. Also, student representation. So we think about positions of responsibility. You're at the stage now where some of you might have applied to be past leaders next year. That's a brilliant thing to put on your CV. Think about other opportunities. If you're part of a society now where you maybe just go along every week and see what's happening, or do it for the social reasons, think about how you could get more involved in that. Can you be on the committee? Could you organise an event? Could you help them with their marketing to other students? Could you just help them with the logistics of organising it all? So all of this stuff is great to put on a CV. So think about how you can get involved over the next few years. So at the end, although we want you to include things like MATLAB, or if you've used Python or various Microsoft Office applications, we want you to put that right the way through your CV. This is the section where you just do a summary near the end. So if a recruiter just wanted to glance at all of the list of what you can do, this is where they would look. And this final section here about interests and activities, we often see that students leave this off because they maybe think it's not overly relevant. But this could be that one thing that a recruiter or a manager looking at your CV just picks out and thinks, oh, this person plays football. I play football too. I might just get them in for an interview and we can talk about it. That's a real generalisation, and obviously not all of you will do football, but it's always useful to include any interest that you've got, whether that's societies, whether it's sports, music, or anything else. Just pop a little bit about it on there. And again, don't just put one word. So if you were to write netball, for example, they don't know if you like to watch netball, get involved, whether you're in a team that actually won some championships, or if you train on a regular basis. So give them the detail around those interests as well, and almost treat it a bit like a job. Okay, so what I wanted to just show you here, that these are the same words, but it's a slightly different style. Now, being a recruiter in the past, so I used to be a recruiter of graduates for many years, it actually doesn't matter that much about the formatting and what it looks like. What recruiters are more interested in is the content. So never go for style over substance, but if you can say the same thing in a CV that looks a bit prettier maybe, that makes you stand out from the crowd, then brilliant. But don't ever take words out just so you can make it look prettier. It needs to be distinctive though. So what else can I do? Gather experience. Hannah, I think we're back over to you now, please.
Yes. Yeah, so we had a look there with all the different opportunities you can pop into your CV from different experiences, but I just want to point out some places where you can gain more experiences and resources for you to look into those. So the first one is recruitment resources. On the, Helen, can you flip the slide forward, please? Thank you. So yeah, one of the platforms I wanted to highlight was GradCracker. So if you're someone who's really interested in finding out where you can gain experiences that might be relevant for what you want to do in the future, GradCracker is a really good resource for this, for first year students, because if you've been looking at internships already, you might have found that a lot of them are only for penultimate year students or pre-final year students, which sadly means second or third year students depending on the length of their degree. However, GradCracker on their internships page, if you've not heard of GradCracker, it's a recruitment website with lots of internship roles, placement roles, graduate roles for STEM students like yourself. But if you're someone who's interested in doing maybe a summer opportunity this year as a first year student, there is a filter option which we've blown up on screen for you, where you can click summer open to first years, and there's opportunities there that you might want to apply for and get involved with. There's also some other links on screen there, links to our websites and other sites about where else you can get experience. So experience as a year one student, finding part-time work, virtual work experience as well. So we've got a list on our website of different platforms that you can do that on. Virtual work experience sometimes takes the format of just a couple of hours. You can check that out once the slides have been shared, and also information on international jobs as well. So if you wanted to work abroad, there's information there too. We just wanted to highlight to you as well a sort of brand new opportunity that has recently sort of come out from the Career Service, which is called Behind Manchester Doors, and this is an opportunity for first-year students. It's an opportunity to visit 2 organisations in Manchester and get a behind the front door view of sectors you might be interested in. So this is a good opportunity to sort of suss out what work you might be interested in, what office culture you might be interested in, by being able to actually go and visit employers where they work every day. So the sectors include the ones on screen, so advertising, marketing, and government and charities, finance and business law, and media and communication. So there's a variety there. We are taking applications for this event because we've got limited places and it's going to be super popular. It'll be taking place in April, so if you are interested, do scan the QR code and apply. The deadline is Friday the 24th of March, and I'll just pop in the chat there the link. So yeah, have a look at that to find out more. There'll be more information if you follow the QR code or the bit.ly link. So yeah, some other ways that you can make the most of Manchester. So you could, like Helen said, get involved with the society, maybe at this stage just helping out on odd events, but in future, you know, it could be that you become part of a committee for a society or sports club. You can become a student rep, which is a great opportunity for collecting feedback from students and communicating that to staff. So you're developing communication skills, negotiation skills, lots of different transferable skills there. Peer support is another good one. So applications might be open now for your courses pass scheme. So do check that out if you've enjoyed past this year. Volunteering can take multiple forms. It could be an ongoing volunteering where you're doing a couple of hours every week at a charity shop, or it could be just getting involved in one of the volunteering team's big volunteer days, which is just one day of time, but it's something that you can put on your CV. And we've also got access to the Masood Enterprise Centre, which is part of the Alliance Manchester Business School, and anybody from the university can use their resources. They run lots of talks and networking sessions, so if you're entrepreneurial or you're interested in maybe doing a startup, you can take advantage of the opportunities there. And this is just a really good idea, a good time to explore who you are and what you love. So there's lots of things there that you can have a look at. But what else can you do? So we talked about the opportunities you can get involved with. What can you actually do to start building your documents and getting started? So we've got Get CV Ready. So this is a pathway that you can find on Career Connect, and our pathways are sort of learning workflows, essentially like a mini module made up of little videos, e-learning guides. They're not very long to complete at all, and we have one on CVs. So this is probably the best one to get started with. It gives you a template and some pointers on how to sort of develop your CV, and it also leads you to CareerSet, which is what you can see in the image on the right, which is AI software that will read your CV and give you detailed feedback, and it's quite comparable to AI software that companies use to sift through CVs in a recruitment process. So once you submit your CV through there, it'll give you a score. If you get 70 out of 100, it means that you can unlock CV review appointments with our team. So they're one-to-one appointments, they're 20-minute appointments to chat through with somebody your CV. And you've got multiple opportunities to get that 70%, so you can keep, you know, editing CV and popping it in there. So that's one way to get your CV ready using that platform. Another pathway that I wanted to point out to you was get interview ready as well. So it might be up till now that you've had maybe your only interview has been interviewing to get on your current programme, or you might have done an interview for a part-time job. You might not have ever done an interview for something like, you know, an internship or anything like that. So we've got resources to help you get prepared in being able to give answers in a coherent way in an interview. So we've got the Get Interview Ready pathway, but that also includes something called Shortlist Me, which is a virtual interview practice. So sort of post-pandemic, lots of companies have sort of moved to doing all or some of their recruitment virtually using programs similar to Shortlist Me, which involves logging into an online program where your interview is. It will ask you questions, you'll get questions that appear on screen, you'll get time to think about your question, and then you'll give your questions recorded on camera. for a certain amount of time, and you'll answer a couple of questions. And obviously this is quite new for a lot of people, can be quite daunting, so we've got you access to be able to practice these sorts of interviews as many times as you like, and many different types of interviews as well. So as you can see on the right, there's a selection there of some interviews that are in the style of the company that's listed. So we've got interviews from NHS, British Heart Foundation, lots of different ones that you can have a practice at, and that's literally just for practice. Nobody is watching on the other side. It's just for you to have a go and be able to sort of reflect on how you're giving your answers. If you do have an in-person interview that is coming up at any point, you can book a one-to-one interview simulation with our team, so you can have that with a person in real life to go through answers and get feedback on that. Do you want to come in there, Helen?
No, actually, I was just switching my microphone back on. But I was going to say that probably some people on this meeting today will have applied to the recent internships programme. So if you have, then shortlist me, or you might be wanting to apply next year actually as well, because I think it's predominantly for second years. So when you apply for that, some of you are invited to do a Shortlist Me video interview as part of the assessment process. So if you can have a go at it before then you'll stand out a lot more, and you'll be familiar with it, and it won't be quite so daunting when you do it. So I was just going to add that in as well. Shall I carry on, Hannah?
Yeah.
Yeah, cool. Okay, so I've just got some final thoughts for you, really. So I wanted to just go back to that poll again. I think I've just got this last slide now, which is a bit of homework and just a bit of a summary for you all. So if you've not already, please register on Career Connect. Just have a little bit of a nosy around there, see what you can find, so that at the point where you really do want to use it, then you'll have a head start. Please consider all your options, start to explore any sectors that you're interested in. Doesn't have to be the engineering sector either. Many of you might have liked what Hannah was saying about behind Manchester's doors, might be thinking, oh, marketing sounds interesting. I'll go and find out a bit more about that. Now is your time to just try things and test stuff out, and you never know, you might end up going in a completely different direction. Start to build your network. So LinkedIn was mentioned before. Set yourself up with a LinkedIn profile. Please link in with Hannah, myself. We also have some other careers colleagues, Ben Carter, Penny Gordon-Lanes. We are happy to accept any connection requests from students at the University of Manchester. So if you just want to have a go and see what happens when you connect with someone, please send us a request. Start to draft your CV, so maybe use pathways on Career Connect that Hannah talked through. We've also on our website got some templates and some example CVs as well there, so if you're not quite sure where to start, that's a good place. And finally, just ask for help if you need it. I've mentioned this a couple of times now. We're here for you. Everything that you say to us is confidential, so if you're struggling on your course, you may want to change course, you don't know if you want to do engineering anymore, we won't go back and discuss that with your academics on your course. So it's all confidential. Please do come and chat to us at a drop-in or book an appointment. And that's it, folks. So thank you again for coming today. We are around for, it's only 10 to 2 now, so we'll hang around for a bit. If anyone's got any questions, either pop those in the chat or feel free to just come off mute and chat to us. What I'll do is stop sharing so I can just